very well save your life.
All righty, guys. Welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos, and we are broadcasting to the world live from Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome in, Tony, CJK, Christine Robbins. It is really good to see all of you. Actually, let's put that back up real quick. So, are you guys familiar with MKultra'd? Today's live stream is titled How Walla MKultra'd Richard Allen. Some of you might be thinking, what does that even mean? What is MKultra'd? And what does it have to do with Dr. Walla or Rick Allen? Well, at this point, the only thing that could throw Rick Allen off the killer's timeline is really if Walla MKultra'd him. That is the only answer. There's no other option at this point. So it's either she tricked him into confessing exactly along the line of the murder, the actual murder's timeline. That's the only way he's innocent at this point, or the only way that his timeline doesn't fit, is if Dr. Walla MKultra'd him. And a lot of people believe that's exactly what happened. That's why they're supporting a child killer. You know, believing one way or the other doesn't matter to me. If you're like, oh, well, I'm not sure about the timeline, or I'm not sure about Brad Weber's ping, or this or that, that's fine, right? You know, or if you say, I think that needs to be further, there needs to be a further investigation into that, because that could change the trajectory, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But to sit here and say, oh, well, the reason that I hate Dr. Walla and the reason that I'm saying all these bad things about Judge Goal, right? As soon as I start calling people names, everybody starts crying. But it's okay to call Dr. Walla names. It's okay to call Judge Goal names. But as soon as I start calling them names, oh shit, you must have a personality disorder. I'm calling you out on your shit. That's all. That is all. That's all I'm doing. So it's okay to be curious and to look further. But if you're going to badmouth the prosecution, you're going to call Goal names, you're going to say all this evil shit while saying that Richard Allen is innocent, when there's definitely plenty to say otherwise, right? If you're going to go to those lengths to disrespect the living family members of Abby and Libby by supporting the convicted killer that is responsible for this whole mess, you think that these people would have a good reason, right? Something really shocking, breaking news even. But no, they just keep muttering all this nonsense. You think it would take a whole lot more for you to get behind somebody like Richard Allen, right? Something solid, something reliable, viable, something that you could actually hold in the air, you know, factual information. But right now, those are the things that the prosecution has. So Richard Allen's confession, well, Richard Allen's Dr. Walla confession, plus Libby's Snapchat and phone data, plus Brad Weber's testimony, they all align perfectly. Those planets align perfectly. You think it was the apocalypse or something, right? The planets have aligned against Richard Allen. And then you have people trying to yank those planets out of this, you know, out of space, right out of the fucking galaxy, right out of the solar system. Nope. Those ones, we're going to move these ones around. That's not how it works. If you're going to support Richard Allen because Dr. Walla MKultra'd Rick Allen, you better prove it. If you're supporting Richard Allen, a convicted child killer, because of a 250 ping, you don't know what it is, how it happened, or even if you can verify it, that's kind of disgusting. That's all I'm saying. It has nothing to do with what you think or what you believe. It's that you believe these things and then you go forth and you spew all this rhetoric and all this, you put forth all this energy and support for a convicted child killer. And then when somebody asks you why are you doing this? Why would you do such a horrible thing? Why would you do such an upsetting thing? Well, because Dr. Walla and Judge Gold they're bitches. And Walla MKultra'd Rick Allen. And they made Weber lie. It's all very interesting. What's up, Lori? So glad to catch you live. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing wonderful. I hope you're doing well as well. So what the hell is MKultra? MKultra was an illegal human experimentation program designed and undertaken by the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency to develop procedures and identify drugs that could be used during interrogations to weaken individuals and force confessions through brainwashing and psychological torture. Well, that would explain why this innocent man's confession, his false confession, matches so perfectly, right? How do you get these details that only the killer would know? Well, you implant them into his mind through MKultra tactics. Obviously, duh. How else? Right? What mystery schools did you go to? Do you even Ra's al Ghul? The League of Shadows. So it's basically mind control. Is what it is. Here, I think I even have a clip for you guys. Let me pull this up. I thought I had this ready. Fucking amateur hour over here. Jeez, get it together, sleuth. So this is what Dr. Walla did to Richard Allen. This is why he was able to give these details, right? That fit so perfectly. So they sat down with Dr. Walla. They briefed her. They say, hey, look, this is the data from Libby's phone. The real killer is responsible for creating this data, right? Forcing them down the hill, being spooked over here, crossing the creek, and then committing the murder for self-preservation. So we need you to feed this to Rick Allen, who was our patsy. Right? We've already done all the psychological torture. We've done all of that. You know, solitary confinement. So all we need is for you to use the medication and other tactics to kind of implant these details into his mind. And then when the time is right, we'll have you make those phone calls to his wife so that we can utilize that during the trial. So Dr. Walla's role was pivotal. Because, I mean, she's part of the Illuminati too, right? She's obligated to. Because if she doesn't do what they're asking her to do, which she promised to, she took an oath, they will go ahead and expose her secrets. So she's all part of the cabal here. But this is what she did to Richard Allen. This is actual footage from his prison. Shocking. Now, they just played a continuous loop of gray hues for months. Very sneaky, dark side. Right. Now it all makes sense, right? Now it all makes sense why Richard Allen fits so perfectly into the timeline. It wasn't because he's the killer. It wasn't because he's the bridge guy. It's because Dr. Walla implanted these ideas into his brain. That bitch. Her and Dr. Walla right now opening up a bottle of champagne, saying, yep, and there's nothing you could do about it. ting, Mwah! Followed by a wicked laugh. Because I mean, Judge Gull, she's obviously like a real witch, right? She was obviously probably even at the ritual, if I had to guess. But yeah, you guys want to see that again? This is actual footage of Dr. Walla and what she did to Rick Allen. And yeah, she's really a man, by the way, with a little curly thing. Rick's like, no more Gray Hughes. No more. I can't take enough. His theories, his backtracking. There's so many. Yeah, the Dr. Evil. So, I mean, we can't let this stand, right? This is wrong what they did. Okay, let's look at these notes here I put together. How to manufacture a confession. How inside details sometimes get into false or contaminated confessions, right? Because that's obviously what we have here. There's no way Rick is really responsible for this, even though we have this really powerful evidence, right? We're going to use all this other stupid nonsense that we can't verify or is just really pure speculation, right? We don't know. I have no clue, but I'm going to keep insisting upon it, right? Because all my buddies back at the Rick Allen cult, this is the narrative. So I have to somehow ease into it before I lose all my buddies. Yeah, that's not what we're looking for around here. We're looking for people who can think for themselves, who don't need leaders, but are ready, prepared to lead. That's what we're looking for. Ziggy, it's good to see you. She Warrior, how are you? Hope you're having a great day. If you missed it, this is breaking news. We were able to acquire actual footage of Dr. Walla's methods of treating Richard Allen. Here, take a look. So they have him facing a screen and they're playing nothing but Gray Hughes videos. They did this for a month straight. Actual video right there. Don't worry, feel free to use it. There's no copyright on it. It's all you. Okay. How inside details sometimes get into false contaminated confessions. Contamination by investigators, right? Kind of like the angle they were going with in West Memphis 3 with Jesse Miskelly, saying that they were kind of feeding him the information. Police or others inadvertently or deliberately disclose non-public facts during questioning through leading questions, summaries, or by indicating what evidence exists, right? Asking leading questions. Media or prison leaks. Information can leak to the public or into the jail population and then be picked up by a suspect. Hey, Scorpio, what is up? Welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. Even the lurkers, even all of you who have been blocked recently. You reap what you sow, guys. I'm not going to tolerate it anymore. It has nothing to do about being right or wrong. It's about you supporting a child killer and not having any good reason for it. And then stretching truth to the point of even lying and trying to mislead your viewers. Shame on you. And I'm not talking to one individual. I'm talking to a whole group of people. So welcome in, everybody. All right, jailhouse informants, conversations with other inmates. Inmates can pass along details and even coach a story. Suggestive, leading questioning, asking the suspect, "Where did you hide the knife?" Right? The suspect says, "Oh, so I used a knife." Okay, so then it's just, presumed. Or repeatedly describing a fact can lead the suspect to adopt those details. Confabulation under stress or fatigue. This one's actually more common. I've actually seen corrupt cops. They literally will break down an innocent civilian to the point of confessing, even promising them like, "Hey, if you confess, we're going to let you go." But all they really want is that confession, because once the confession comes out, that is evidence now. They can't ignore that. And it's really dangerous when these cops get that tunnel vision, they get that gut feeling, and they want everything to fit with this one individual. Some could, they can foresee that happening and say, "Okay, we were wrong. It sucks that we were wrong. I wanted it to be this guy, but we are wrong." And then you have some that come to that crossroad and say, "I don't give a shit. I think it's this guy. I'm making it this guy. And I don't care how I have to do it." USA Patriot. Poor Rick Allen, right? Got MKultra'd by Walla and used as a patsy by the Illuminati, operating out of Carroll County. Scorpio says Damien calls the ritual ceremonial magic nowadays. Yeah. And whatever magic he's doing is fucking working. It is working. It got all of his dark-hearted brethren to get involved. True crime fangirl, what up? Been in a coma for 3 months, no lie. Wait. Like actually a coma? What the hell, true crime? Welcome back. Welcome back to the world. Police testing or correction. Investigators sometimes present possible facts and note whether the suspect corrects them. That can artificially produce apparent knowledge. That happened a lot in the Keegan Kline interview. We have the unredacted transcripts. Actually, we've had them since the very beginning, since close to his arrest. Okay, how to tell whether a confession contains independent and true knowledge. Look for these markers. The more of them present, the stronger the case that the confessor had real, independent knowledge. All right, let's see if this fits with Richard Allen. So we're going to look for these markers. The more of them present, the stronger the case that the confessor had real, independent knowledge. All right, specific sensory peripheral details. No ordinary person could know. What the victim smelled like, a small stain location, and those details weren't publicly released. So we really didn't have any of that, right? Other than the van and that they crossed the creek. Just kind of like the timeline was in order perfectly, right? To Libby's phone data. Accurate non-public timeline details. There you go. See, exact sequence or timing not reported in media. So either Rick Allen knows these to be true personally because he's the perpetrator, or he was MKultra'd by Dr. Walla. And we have video of her doing that, actually. Viewer discretion is advised. So that's Rick. And you can see the rest of the goons up there in the back. Do you see that? See him back there at the top? And yes, Dr. Walla in reality is a man. So this is actual footage of Dr. Walla and Rick Allen. And they're watching a screen, right? She's forcing him to watch a screen and just playing consecutive gray hues over and over and over, all his Delphi content. And then she's gonna wait for the right moment. Right? She's gonna wait for the opportune moment here. She's gonna give him a 6-pack of beer, show him some more gray hues on the laptop. He can't blink, can't close his eyes. And then she's going to toss him the cordless phone. Okay, call your wife. Call your wife. Now's the time. You look like you want to talk to her. Yes, I will call my wife. Yes, I will confess to her. Whatever you say, drill sergeant. Come, outstanding. I believe you're the greatest soldier this army has ever had. Don't go boneless. Not gray hues. Yeah, it's gray hues. That's what she did. Here, look, I have actual video of it. That way you guys know I'm telling the truth. See? He's like, shut it off. No more gray hues. No more. I can't take it. The white van, the white van. And they're dropping Coors Light into his eyeballs. They're getting him drunk through his eyes. It's a real technique, I'm sure of it. Gray hues on loop would have me confessing too, not going to lie. Well, duh, right? That's why they did it. Wanted to go over every piece of information that could have ever been released about the Delphi case. We want it implanted into your brain. And then once we have it all downloaded into your brain, then we'll work on the timeline, right? Because Richard Allen's confession was perfect. Here, let's go to what Dr. Walla testified to in court, because I really want to drive this home for you guys. I don't have any problem with people saying, hey, we need to look at this angle, we need to look at that. But if you're going to come out and attack Walla, attack Goal, attack the prosecution, attack the victim's family, attack Kelsey, attack everybody, and then your reason why is a 250 ping or the timeline doesn't fit, and then we ask, well, how doesn't it fit? And then you just kind of mutter a bunch of stupid shit. We're going to get upset. And we're not upset at you personally. It's at this group of people who continuously push this narrative and follow these defense attorneys. They've become their leaders, right? Like Osbrook, he'll come into a channel and he'll say, oh, well, I have this, I have that. And they all just go, oh, yeah, well, he must have it. It must be true, right? Right? He showed everything that he's had. If he had it, we would have seen it. USA Patriot, echo chambers and flying monkeys. They're emotionally attached to their person or group. This issue is more about the people than Little Ricky. Yeah, absolutely. Flying monkeys, that's a real thing. It's a psychological term. And I have had those. I've had people who have literally kind of been like parrots. They'll hear something from a content creator, come into my comments and repeat it. It's just the most ignorant thing I've ever seen. But it's okay. We're shedding that. We're evolving out of that. We kind of took a wrong turn in the YouTube map. We went down this dark alley where people are shooting up shit into their veins and smoking meth and regurgitating bad information. So I was kind of back there and I was kind of investigating. Now I'm like, there's no need to be back there. I thought maybe there would be something of value over there, but there wasn't. So now we turn our back and we say, good luck. We bid you adieu. Adieu. Let's see. Gray Hughes must confess, must support his channel, must buy a coffee, must gift subs. Speaking of gifting subs, let's see. I think I can gift you guys right now. Remind me towards the end. Okay, let's take a look at this confession. Do 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 do. What's up, Sheena? Sheena with the patina. Welcome in, Sheena. That sounds like the name of a warrior princess. I am Sheena. Warrior princess. Richard could get a new trial and it wouldn't make a difference. You know what? I think that he should get a new trial. I think what his defense attorneys did was an abomination. And they had their own personal motivating factors for not mentioning the Kagan Klein stuff. All that stuff needs to be revisited. The stuff with McClelland could possibly disbar him. You know, these rumors of him putting Kagan Klein up in a hotel, giving him time with Holly, with alcohol, in order to elicit a confession and to give other names like Rick Allen. There's a good chance that happened. Warrior princess. Ha ha. Okay. So let's start at the top. Yes, yeah. It was in the APOD counselor's cubicle. It started with him wanting to call his wife. And we attempted to assist him with those phone calls. But it didn't work. She didn't answer. So then he went on to provide a narrative, right? So he was getting ready to give this narrative to his wife. And it looks like she didn't answer. And then he gave it to Wallow. So then he went on to provide a narrative of what took place in regards to the crime. What did he tell you? He said that he wanted to confess to his crimes and went on to tell his story. He reported seeing his parents the morning of the crime. He stated he was supposed to go eat with them, but opted to get himself a six-pack. He reported drinking 3 beers and then finishing the rest later. He stated, I bundled up. Once on the trail, he stated, I laid in wait. He reported seeing the girls and following them to the bridge. Rick, don't forget the bullet and the gun. He mentioned doing something with his gun and stated, I think there was a bullet that fell out. And then he said, I ordered them down the hill. He stated his intentions was to essay the girls, and mentioned he thought they were older than their biological ages. This is something very typical. He's willing to confess, but there's certain parts of his confession that he's leaving out. He doesn't want Walla to see him in a poor light, in a bad light. Doesn't want to see the evil man that he truly is, right? Kind of like Kagan Klein, like, oh, I don't know anything about those 3-year-old girls or the bestiality on my phone. I'm only into 14, 15, and 16-year-old girls, you know, not the 3-year-olds and not the bestiality, knowing damn well that he's into all that sick shit, right? That's who he is. That's who these people are, down to the core. But they're not going to tell you that. It's like psychopathy 101. So he said his intention was to essay the girls and mentioned that he thought they were older than their biological ages. Bullshit. Probably knew exactly how old they were. and who they were. He said he saw a van which scared him and caused him not to follow through on the essay of the girls. He said they crossed a creek and then he cut their necks. So this timeline fits perfectly with the data that was taken from Libby's phone, down to the T. And to support it, you have the testimony of Brad Weber. And I don't know why people are so busy to try to, I don't know, mold the facts into this not working, but it fits perfectly. It's almost like a mathematical equation. It's like the scientific method. It all fits together perfectly. So the only way that Richard Allen's confession fits perfectly to Libby's data is that he was MKultra'd. That information was fed to Dr. Walla, and then she, through some kind of methods, implanted it into Richard Allen's brain, giving him drugs, manipulating him, keeping him in solitary confinement. And then at the right moment, she's going to throw him a cordless phone and say, go ahead and call your wife. This is what we've been working towards. Let's do it. No more gray hues if you do this for us. Right? That's all you got to do, Ricky. That's all you got to do, buddy. Badass, what's up? Welcome in. I don't care for gray hues. He came at me for females who laughed at my post in his room. I think he's arrogant and an ass. I mean, that's the consensus. He wanted to confess. A good lawyer may have had him make a plea bargain and a plea guilty. That's what I'm saying. He wanted to. He had options. He could have come off as remorseful if his wife would have just, well, and honestly, she was coached, right? We have people elect these leaders, right? Brad and Andy were Kathy's leaders. They were going to take her to the promised land. Hold my hand, Kathy. Come with me. But the place that they took them was not a good place. The place that they dragged Kathy was right into the thick of the bullshit, dragging her. It was like the devil saying, I'll help you. Listen to me. Come with me, right? While presenting themselves as an angel of light. You're like, oh my God, this beautiful angel is taking me to the light. Carol Ann, right? Where's fucking Tangina when you need her? Well, I guess I'll be the Tangina. Gray always goes after people who don't donate to his channel. Can you blame him? Ruckus, how the hell are you, buddy? How the hell are you? Libby did look older for her age. Richard acting like it's okay to essay girls that look older says it all. Yeah, like that's not bad enough. You think it's possible Richard was exposed to MKUltra? I mean, he was in the military. I don't know. There's like this weird military connection between all of these persons of interest, right? You have military experience with Richard Allen. You have it with Patrick Westfall, Brad Holder. You also have it with Kagan Klein's roommate, Dirk Hayes. He was like probably in there with Julian Powell. Julian Powell was also there. So this could be the connection. There could be like a military connection between all of these guys. Yeah, that's one of the patterns that I did see. Yep, exactly, U.S. Patriot. It's because people that suffer from psychopathy or who are psychopathic, that's just what they do. That's just something that I've noticed. Like they'll give you the details, but the MO they'll leave out. You know, how they got from point A to point B. They don't want to tell you those details because the truth is horrific. It's probably a lot more. It's probably closer to something like what Rex Heuermann was doing with his documents that were found. Remember, he tried to get rid of them. He had all these planning documents. That's what's really going on behind the scenes. But the killers, if they can, will leave all those details out, like how they plan to dismember the body, scrub it down with bleach, like just treating it like trash. They're not going to talk about that because they're smart. And they might not be the sharpest tool in the box, but they're smart enough to know from a young age, like, hey, people know that I'm weird. I need to understand why I'm different and how I'm different from everybody else. And then they learn to hide that. That's the birth of the chameleon and the compartmentalization, right? They just know, probably like from the first time they dissected a family pet or a neighbor's cat and called all their friends over, like, hey, check this out. Look how cool this is. Look how cool. Look, we can see the inside of this animal. Weren't you ever curious to see the inside of this cat? No, we weren't. What the fuck is wrong with you? And the girls start crying and the boys are disgusted and everybody's running back to tell their mom, right? And the kid's mom, and it could be a girl or a boy. And the mom's like, what'd you do? Like, what's wrong with you? And then the kid's like, oh shit, everybody's like judging me. I have to make up a story. And it's right there. They just make up some bullshit story. And that's what they continue to do, and they get better at it. It's like every crime and every instance of their psychopathy that comes out, they evolve. They download the data and they adjust and adapt. That's what we've seen with any of these serial killers like Rex Heuermann, where we're able to get our hands on these documents, or that they're willing to actually communicate with us. The FBI hasn't done anything proactively against serial killers. Everything we really learned about serial killers, from my understanding, comes from those who are willing to talk after the fact. So that's just going to keep them always a step ahead of us, right? I can tell you right now, all of these online pedophiles and these CSAMers on the dark web, when it comes to technology, they are 10 steps ahead of you and at least 5 steps ahead of law enforcement. Constantly, right? And the tactics that they use on our kids. You might hear your daughter talking to a girl. Oh, that, she's still talking to her little friend. I can hear her talking to a little girl. These motherfuckers can use voice changers. They can hack into a computer, create a profile that matches perfectly with, let's say, their sister, brother, cousin, best friend, neighbor, hack into the cameras. Once they get into your router, they're into your entire system. He blocks people when they have their own legitimate theories. He definitely wanted to confess. He hates competition. Well, he hates YouTubers, yeah. He's attacked me a few times. Jari, you're never late. You're always on time. Richard Allen should have pled out, period. Yeah, I think he wanted to. That would have been best. See, what people don't realize about a true conspiracy ruckus is that if there was a real conspiracy going on, Brad and Andy would be part of it, just like Goal, right? The reason that he didn't plead out could be because they wanted to string him along. They wanted people to look at the Odinism thing because they didn't want to see maybe who Richard Allen was really working with. Somebody that might have helped him, somebody of power, somebody within the community that's really the hidden hand behind everything, right? Why isn't Rick Allen confessing? Maybe he is really afraid that somebody will do something to him. He's watching all this go on. He's watching the fact that he's come forward right early on in the case. And if he had help committing these murders against Abby and Libby, and this person that helped him is able to get that tip hidden and to get it to go away for 6 years, to him, that's going to be very intimidating. Like, whoever this is embedded into this whole system. They have their thumb on the scale, and they're protecting Richard Allen to protect themselves, and maybe even considered taking his ass out if it wouldn't have brought attention, right? Might just put him on the radar, and that's not what they want. So there is that possibility, right? This weird conspiracy to hide Richard Allen. And then Kathy Shank just accidentally finds some paperwork at the bottom of a box that was meant to be hidden or destroyed. And then now they're like, oh shit, what do we do? Right? Well, we'll give it to Goal. And then Goal will hire Brad and Andy. And then we'll have Brad and Andy manipulate Rick Allen so that they're looking completely over here and he doesn't confess anything. Right? We'll use his wife to shut him up. So there's always that possibility. He was hunting his victims. People with mental health issues that join the military. Yeah, what's going on with that? I feel like people are always joining the military for the wrong reasons. Oh, I wanted money, or I wanted to kill, something. I was promised a whole lot of money. They said they were going to get me into college. Not a very extensive test to get into the military. What is it, the ASVAB? Weird people don't do stuff like that. It was very popular in the 80s, early 90s to join the military. Be all that you can be. Be all that you can be in the army. And then in Living Color redid it and said, get a messed up life and a dirty old wife in the army. I'm in my 60s, but in good shape. That's good, man. That's the best thing you can do for yourself. Like, if you're over the hill in your 40s, take that opportunity to change your diet and get back in shape. Okay, so Rick Allen's confession to Walla fits perfectly. So there's only really one explanation. There's two explanations. Either he's guilty and he's able to describe the timeline perfectly that matches with Libby's phone data. We're talking down 100%. It just flows. And also fits with Brad Weber's testimony. Right? It's less than a 20-minute drive. It took Bill from Delphi Timeline 16 minutes to get from Lafayette to the border or into the city limits of Delphi. Took a wrong turn, had to go all the way through the city and back around to the bridge, and still made it back right at the 21-minute mark. So if Brad got off at 2:02 and lingered around for 12 minutes, he still could be back by the 2:25 marker. Right? Especially if he was speeding. We don't know how fast he was going. Could have took him 15 minutes to get there. Yep, absolutely badass. Gray has nothing on you, Sleuth, or on Ruckus. You both are legit. Thank you, Jari. How often is a conspiracy theory part of the cover-up? Never know. Well, that's the whole point. You keep everybody guessing, keep everybody confused in the land of confusion. That's why they say in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. But also in this world where we live now, the guy with the third eye is king. Right? If you can tap into your third eye and your intuition, you are the king, or one of them, amongst the blind. Just to kind of goof around. I wanted to join the military because I wanted to travel, and they were going to pay for my schooling, because that's what I was doing. I was looking for schools to go to, and I was boxing a lot at the time, so I thought I would get into their boxing program. And then boom, 9/11 hit, and George Bush wouldn't shut up about weapons of mass destruction. I was like, oh God, he's going to send everybody over there to die, to go kill innocent people. And that's what he did. Exactly. The timeline can't be denied. Well, the thing is, it can be denied, but it hasn't been refuted successfully yet. I'm okay with somebody stepping in, right? Saying, look, here's proof of this, here's proof of that, and this is why you are wrong. I will say, oh shit, you're right. Because I'm not going to sit here and ignore factual information. But if you're going to go, this is why Rick Allen's innocent, and you just start speculating, you have to kind of look yourself in the mirror and say, oh my God, I'm supporting a child killer, and these are the reasons why. You have to live with yourself, not me. But right, if everybody's going to the light with the poltergeist, where the fuck is Tangina? You know what I mean? I feel like that's who I have to be. Nobody else is coming up here on YouTube and checking these fools, right? Everybody's just becoming more blind and more blind. Oh, I don't need to prove anything. I'll just keep repeating what somebody like Osbrook said. They're my leaders. We can trust them. They're professional. They're lawyers. What the fuck do you know, sleuth? Well, I don't need to know anything. I'll show it to you. I will literally put it up on the screen. And if you ignore it, that's on you. You're exposing yourself. Oh, but Osbrook told me that he knows that Brad Weber hung around for 12 minutes. Doesn't matter. It's like a 16-minute drive. He could have hung around for 12 minutes and been there, you know, right in time. He testified, I didn't go anywhere. I didn't touch any ATMs. The only people bringing up ATMs is Rick Allen's defense team. So you're the idiot for just, you know, swallowing that hook. Yep, the third eye is king. Look to who benefited the most from the unaliving. I don't know. I feel like psychologically, Rick seems to have benefited, right? They always say, well, I did it to gain control back. And in a way, he did. You have all these bad things that are happening to him through 2006, and he looks like he's on drugs. He looks like he's on meth, not eating. He's very skinny. And then you kind of fast forward to 2018. He has muscle tone back. You can tell he's been active. He's on top of a fucking mountain, for God's sakes, right? What about his heart condition? He couldn't have crossed a creek and chased those girls. Oh, but then he can hike a fucking mountain, a 4-hour hike to the top of this fucking peak. He can do that with this heart condition in 2018, but couldn't cross a 3 feet deep creek and go up a, you know, I don't know, 6 foot, not even, maybe a 4-foot embankment. Right? You can't just lie and stretch facts to fit your narrative. Oh, Rick has a heart condition. He's a little guy. He got these little legs and he's a family man. The motherfucker was in the military. He went through boot camp. He's flopping like a fish in 2000 at the end of 2016 in a video. And you have him in 2018 documented all over Kathy's Facebook climbing a goddamn mountain. What part of this are you denying so that you can hang out with your little Rick Allen is Bay cult, right? At what point are you going to have a let's stop doing this moment when you're looking in the mirror and saying, what the fuck have I become? Bad actors, what's up? It's Czechoslovakian. We zip in, we pick them up, we zip right out again. We're not going to Moscow, Czechoslovakia. It's like going into Wisconsin. Oh, geez. So for those of you just joining, here, let's take this off the screen. Stop sharing that. We have breaking news. I have acquired through my methods video of Dr. Walla just before Rick Allen's confession. Now, mind you, this is very disturbing footage, 100% real, and extremely shocking. That's Dr. Walla and Rick Allen. She's dropping Coors Light into his eyeball and forcing him to watch Gray Hughes, all of his Delphi content. And when the time is right, she will hand him his 6-pack of beer and the cordless phone and say, Rick, it's time, buddy. Call your wife. Yes, Walla, I will call my wife. I mean, it's obvious, right? Because he's innocent. And the only way that his confession matches perfectly with the data taken from Libby's phone is if Walla fed it to him. And she did, just like this. Grunge says, I lived near Shanksville and there were fighter jets flying around. I live near Air Force Base, so that's pretty common for me. One of my brothers joined the military for school. He joined the Marines and did 4 tours in Iraq and hated doing it afterwards. Yeah, it's a tough job. I mean, I commend, the men and women that do that. I don't know if Flight 93 already went down, but there were fighter jets in the area. Oh, that quote was from Stripes. Went right over my head. Bad actors. My dad was in Vietnam. Navy hated it. Yeah, Vietnam was ugly. But I mean, there are allies now, so obviously something worked out. Something went well. Welcome in, Robin. Says Richard Allen did it. Why do you think he did it, though? All my grandfathers and uncles served in the Great Wars. Yeah, majority of my family did too. Frequent hiker. Yeah, but he has a heart condition. There's no way he hiked that, right? That was all photoshopped. Him on this mountain peak with this heavy backpack on, looking all kind of toned, looking very healthy. That's why Rick Allen killed Abby and Libby, so he could be that guy, right? So he could shake things up. He needed his control back. These people think that they gain control by controlling life and death, feeding the demon. All right, guys, this will be our 10-minute warning. Family line has had someone in every war in the U.S. history from the Revolution. Exactly, Sleuth. He has an avid hiker. I think we're like fourth generation immigrants. So on one side of my family, they immigrated from Sweden and Germany, and on the other, from Mexico. Why weren't there any fighter jets that were on standby and equipped with weapons on 9/11? I don't know. It reminds me a lot what happened in Israel recently. Sometimes the government, they're not involved in the conspiracy, but all they're doing is kind of standing out of the way. So every day we're probably being protected by some type of an attack, right? So through the NSA, CIA, FBI, local police, they're stopping these attacks. Well, when they want something to happen or they want to control the narrative of our society, all they have to do is step out of the way and allow these events to happen like 9/11, right? Like, yeah, they could have stopped it, but it's serving them a purpose. When they heard about the plans, they were like, perfect, we need this right now. And the satanic part of it is the mega death of it all. Veronica says, stop it. No, Veronica, we will not stop. I can't. What? Rick Allen? I cannot stop. I cannot. I need you to know that I did this. You're sick. I'm well. It's like, come on. All right. So before we get out of here, I want to show you guys this breaking footage. There's no copyright on it. Feel free to share it. I've acquired this footage through very clandestine means and tactics through my connections. It is the true Dr. Walla performing MKultra'd tactics on Richard Allen to get him to confess. Take a look. Now they're forcing him to watch this screen. And on this screen is all of the Delphi coverage from Gray Hughes. Now, he was in this position for over a month. And this secret footage was just leaked. And I, for one, am shocked and appalled. Thanks, Robert. It was good to see you. If you guys need to reach me, hit me up. There's my email, sleuthintuition@gmail.com. Don't let anybody lie to you. Tell them to show it or shut up. Show me or shut it. Cheeks, what up? There were no fighter jets on standby and ready during 9/11 because that's the same day they were running war games up in like Alaska or somewhere. I forgot. Yeah, isn't that typical too? Whenever we have something like this happen, they're always doing like war games or some kind of simulation that's mimicking exactly what just happened. Is that true about the bird? What bird? Thank you, Jari. Hit the Cash App if you can. If you can't, hit the like button. Yeah, make sure you share that footage, Veronica, with all your buddies. Because, I mean, it really helps Rick's case, right? It's proof that they used MKultra'd on him to confess, right? Dr. Walla, the prison system tortured him through their methods. Then they prepped Dr. Walla on exactly what they needed from him. They gave her all of the data from Libby's phone and all of the talking points that they needed from Rick Allen, right? That's what they needed. And then at the opportune moment, she was going to throw him a six-pack and throw the cordless phone and say, Rick, it's time, buddy. Call your wife. It's go time. And then he just happened to not get a hold of her. So she settled for a confession straight from his mouth, which fits perfectly with the actual phone data and testimony of Brad Weber. It's very shocking. You know, I thought I was right. I thought Rick was guilty this whole time, but this proves, you know, that he's innocent. And it makes total sense, right? That's why it fit so well. That's why his confession fits so perfectly with Weber's testimony and Libby's phone data and her photos and everything and her video. Now it makes sense because those ideas and thoughts were implanted in Rick Allen's mind. And we have video footage to back that up. Exactly, Robin. And I'm open to it. If you have some information that kind of leads us in another direction and it's compelling and it's, you know, earth-shattering information, shit, that's what we want to see. All we want is the truth. We don't like to see people re-victimizing others on some bullshit whims and speculation, right? And off the words of discredited defense attorneys. Bad actors. I'm more concerned with the throng that wants Ricky free. Yeah, Sneaky Walla. Yeah, you guys all know. Veronica, this could be, it is true. Look, I have the footage. What do you mean it could be true? There it is. Look, it's Rick and Dr. Walla right there. There you go, Rick. A little bit of Coors Light in your eyeball. Tell me more about the white van, Ricky. Tell me how you went to your mama's. You couldn't stay, right? Is that right? Yes, Dr. Walla. That is right. All right. Tell him. Make sure you tell your wife about the bullet. Remember, you did something with the bullet, right? Right? You did that, didn't you? Yes, Dr. Walla, I did that. Here, I'll put this back up. Now, look at the laptop, Ricky. What did we talk about? It's the white van. Don't forget about the white van. Now, remember, you laid in wait. You saw the girls. You weren't sure how old they were, but all you knew is that you were looking to essay. Right? Tell him you went down the hill with the girls, you did something with your gun, and then you were spooked. Rick, what were you spooked by? The van, Dr. Walla, the van. What color was the van, Rick? The white van. Very good. Here's some Haldol for you. Thank you, Dr. Walla. He's in Oklahoma. Too much of a coincidence. Kagan isn't involved. Yeah, I think that all needs to be reinvestigated. The reason they don't want to investigate it is because I think they did some shitty shit with Kagan, something that could really destroy the entire case. And if they did something like that, and for whatever reason we expose that, that's not our fault. You know what I mean? It's not our fault you guys did that shit. Don't blame us for doing what we do, which is staying curious and sleuth. That's what we do. So if you're doing some shady shit that you shouldn't have been doing, you put the investigation at risk, not me for exposing it. Yep. Hypnosis. Mass hypnosis. We're already hearing that. Bad actors. You know the rumor about Nick McClelland taking Kagan Klein out of prison and putting him up in a hotel with Holly and giving him a bottle of champagne and then taking him to Delphi where he gave this confession, right? And probably the name of Rick Allen. Well, at some point, they're going to come to the conclusion that, hey, we can't talk about how we elicited this confession from Kagan Klein. We can't tell anybody how we got Rick's name because what we did apparently was illegal. So anything that comes from this is fruit of a poison tree. What do we do now? We just destroyed the entire case. What now? That's when somebody said, oh, what about the lost tip idea? What about that? What if we just kind of drop this tip somewhere where Kathy Shank finds it and it'll be her, right? It won't be Kagan and what we did that got the tip of Rick Allen. It'll be Kathy Shank just naturally finding it, right? I think there's something like that that could possibly be going on. And that could be the reason that nobody looked deeper into Kagan Klein, especially during the trial. And I wouldn't doubt it if Brad and Andy were part of it as well. Honestly, badass, I just hope that they forget them. That's the easiest thing to do. Just forget them. Well, they don't exist. If Libby was going crazy online, she might have been talking to multiple people like Richard. Exactly. She could have been groomed by Rick Allen in real life and we wouldn't have known it, right? She could have been talking with Kagan Klein and then also been in some kind of relationship with Rick Allen. Two of Rick's favorite places was Riley Park and the Monon High Bridge Trail. Those are two places that Libby spent a lot of time. She spent 2 softball seasons practicing at Riley Park. So let's say she's hanging out at Riley Park and Rick's over there fishing. Who's to say that they didn't come into communication? How do we know that Rick Allen isn't the creator of Anthony Shots? How do we know that he's not sitting in the Klein home on his own burner phone with a target in mind, right? Keegan Kline is Emily Ann. Then you have the Hannah Rostel, who's another predator. And then you got Rick Allen hanging out over there, right? There's no connection to him because every time he does anything like this, it's around the corner from his job at the Kline home. For all we know, he could have created the Anthony Shots account on one of Kagan's devices. That's why Kagan the entire time is like, I don't know. I don't remember saying that. I don't even, I don't know. But he just can't confess, because if he confesses about Rick Allen and he doesn't have a plan in place, he's confessing to his own involvement. Badass says, I hope Kathy Shank and her daughter sue them for defamation. Maybe Richard got the girl's information from multiple people. I wouldn't doubt it if they planned this crime together well in advance. Under some kind of motivation of money. Like, hey, if you do this, and somehow, somebody was able to convince people like Rick Allen that they were going to see a lot of money. Libby was a teenager. Yes, teens, hormones are raging. They can be easily cured and swayed. Yeah, that's why they're still children. Going through changes, puberty, but they don't have the experience to kind of understand it. And that's what these predators prey on. That's what makes them vulnerable, is the inexperience, the lack of life experience. And they're preying on that. All right, guys, that's going to do it. If you need to get a hold of me for whatever reason, shoot me an email at sleuthintuition@gmail.com. Sleuth Crew, you guys are the best. All my members, thank you so much for your continued support. And all of you who like and share these videos and donate to the Cash App, I love you guys. Thank you for supporting my channel. I wouldn't be here if it was for you. And for all of those haters and those dark-hearted Rick Allen fanboys and fangirls, fuck you.